The Old West hides shocking secrets that official history tried to bury. Between the mid-19th and early 20th centuries, the United States experienced not only a period of expansion, but also dangerous myths, bloody conflicts, and legendary figures. Dive with us into 24 surprising facts uncovered through research in forgotten records and conversations with renowned historians. Some of these details you've never heard before, and if you have, you'll be amazed at what really happened behind the scenes of the Old West. Number 1. The agency that hunted outlaws. Criminals from coast to coast shivered at the mere mention of Pinkerton. Founded in 1850 by Allan Pinkerton, this agency revolutionized crime fighting, according to historians. Using techniques far ahead of their time, like photographing criminals, rudimentary fingerprint searches, and meticulously kept suspect files, the Pinkertons were decades ahead of what the FBI would later achieve. Jesse James and his gang, they couldn't escape the keen eyes of these detectives. While Jesse James was never captured alive, the relentless pressure from the Pinkertons drove the James Younger gang into an increasingly secretive existence. Over time, the agency expanded its operations, even providing protection for politicians and major businessmen, solidifying its reputation as the strong arm of the law, though that arm was often more heavy-handed than gentle. Number 2. The strange gold and diamond scam. In 1872, when the gold rush still had investors from all walks of life in a frenzy, two so-called visionaries, Philip Arnold and John Slack, claimed to have found priceless riches in a remote area of Colorado. News of their discovery quickly spread through the most influential circles of the time. Respected bankers, prominent politicians, and even mining tycoons were lured by the promise of acquiring land filled with diamonds and rubies. The genius of their scam lay in planting fake gems in the soil, allowing eager buyers, desperate not to miss out on the greatest opportunity of all time, to easily uncover some sparkling stones during their first digs. This apparent lucky find reinforced the idea that the site was unique and that plots were selling out quickly, fueling urgency and fear of missing out among investors. The hoax began to unravel when Clarence King, a renowned geologist respected in elite mining circles, was brought in to evaluate the authenticity of the samples. His investigation revealed glaring irregularities. The shape, cut, and origin of the gems didn't match any natural deposits in the region. It didn't take long for the scam to be exposed. Number 3. Bass Reeves, the inspiration for the Lone Ranger. Bass Reeves, the son of enslaved people, was forced to flee from his owner during the Civil War, carrying with him only the determination to survive. He found refuge in the Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma, where he learned native languages and formed strong bonds of friendship with several local tribes who sheltered him from the dangers of recapture. After the Civil War ended, Reeves was appointed as a U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River, becoming the first black man to hold that position in the region. Records from the Fort Smith District Court confirm his work alongside Judge Isaac Parker, contributing to the impeccable reputation Reeves built over time. During his career, he arrested over 3,000 criminals, including some of the most dangerous outlaws of the Old West. Number 4. Calamity Jane, heroine and myth. Martha Jane Canary, better known as Calamity Jane, was born in 1852 and became one of the few women in the Old West to take on roles typically reserved for men. Despite the hardships she faced in her youth, losing her parents at a young age and having to care for her siblings, Calamity stood out for her bravery and resilience. Even so, the line between reality and myth remains blurry. While some contemporaries described her as a loyal and fearless gunslinger, others believed her stories were exaggerated or even fabricated to entertain journalists and curious onlookers. Unsurprisingly, local newspapers of the time often published accounts that mixed facts and rumors, further fueling the growing fascination with Calamity Jane. Number 5. The Colorado Cannibal. Alfred Packer gained notoriety for a crime so shocking that it remains documented in court records and historical Colorado newspapers, resonating deeply in the history of the Old West. In 1874, according to records from the Lake City Court, Packer set out on an expedition into the Rocky Mountains with 5 other men. When he finally reappeared, He was alone and couldn't provide a convincing explanation for the whereabouts of his companions. Subsequent investigations, backed by official reports and forensic analysis of the discovered bodies, revealed evidence of not just murder, but also signs of cannibalism. Packer claimed he acted in self-defense and only resorted to eating human flesh to survive the brutal winters and heavy snowfalls of the mountains. However, he was found guilty and imprisoned. The case, filled with macabre details and ethical debates, shocked the nation and became the subject of books, movies, and discussions about morality and desperation in extreme conditions. Number 6. The first major train robbery. Picture the sound of a train whistle piercing the silent night in 1866, as John and Simeon Reno's gang prepared for a heist that would make U.S. history. The target was a train from the Ohio and Mississippi Railway, and this groundbreaking robbery netted the gang about $13,000, a fortune that could buy large estates at the time. The bold act inspired other outlaws, including Jesse James, who would go on to refine the craft in the following years. Pioneers in turning railway tracks into opportunities for illicit gain, the Reno brothers carefully studied routes, schedules, and guard behavior to ensure the element of surprise. Thus, the train robbery became a classic hallmark of the Old West, immortalized in movies as a symbol of adventure, daring, and danger. Number 7. The Johnson County War. In 1892, the state of Wyoming witnessed one of the bloodiest clashes between large landowners and small ranchers, known as the Johnson County War. Without solid evidence, wealthy cattle barons accused ranchers of theft and hired gunslingers to punish thieves. This was a miniature civil war, fences destroyed, homes burned, and people executed without trial. Families lost everything, experiencing panic and hopelessness amidst the violence. The situation became so severe that the federal government intervened. This episode highlights the fragility of law in isolated territories, where money and influence often dictated justice. Though less famous than the shootout at the OK Corral, the Johnson County War reveals the brutal side of American expansion and serves as a warning against unchecked power. Number 8. The invention of barbed wire. Until the 1870s, the Old West was marked by vast open plains where cattle roamed freely. For small farmers, however, there was a constant fear of losing their livelihood when herds mingled with those of wealthy cattle barons. In 1873, Joseph Glidden patented barbed wire, a simple, inexpensive, and surprisingly effective invention that allowed people to fence off their properties and protect their livestock from trespassers. This innovation was a game-changer. Not only did it bring an end to the epic long drives through Texas, but it also intensified boundary disputes and sparked deadly conflicts. Within a few years, the once open horizon was crisscrossed with fences, forever altering the landscape of cattle ranching and the power dynamics of those who lived there. Number 9. Belle Starr, the Bandit Queen. Known in the papers of her time as the most famous outlaw of Indian Territory, Belle Starr, born Myra Maybelle Shirley Reed, grew up surrounded by infamous figures like Jesse and Frank James. After marrying Cherokee Sam Starr, she became part of a horse-thieving gang, diving headfirst into a life of crime that fueled her love for danger. Famous for her elegant demeanor and refined outfits, Belle Starr never went anywhere without her pistols. Her reputation, backed by official reports, blended courage with charm. However, in 1889, at the age of 40, she was ambushed and killed in an unsolved murder. The mystery only added to her legend, turning her into a symbol of rebellion in the Old West and inspiring the romantic image of a woman who dared to defy the conventions of her time. Number 10. Stagecoach Mary, the mail-delivering trailblazer. Mary Fields, known as Stagecoach Mary, not only broke barriers of gender and race by becoming the first black woman hired by the U.S. Postal Service around 1895, but she also paved the way for other women and black individuals. Armed with a rifle and a revolver, she braved treacherous routes in Montana, often traveling alone. Despite facing heavy prejudice, Mary quickly earned respect for her grit. It's said that if she had to cross a frozen river in winter, she'd do it without hesitation to deliver the mail. Her physical strength and determination earned her a reputation as a tough-as-nails figure. In an era that was particularly challenging for women, especially black women, Stagecoach Mary left a legacy of courage in the Old West. Number 11. The Ghosts of Bodie. Located in California, Bodie thrived in the 1870s thanks to gold mining. At its peak, the town attracted adventurers and gamblers who filled saloons, brothels, and casinos. But prosperity vanished as quickly as it came, and successive fires destroyed most of the town's buildings. Today, Bodie is preserved as a historic park, seemingly frozen in time. Visitors report seeing mysterious shadows and hearing footsteps on deserted streets. "I felt an indescribable chill passing by the old saloon," one tourist recalled. Legend has it that taking any object from Bodie without permission brings bad luck until it's returned. Whether true or not, Bodie remains one of the most haunted places in the Old West, drawing curious travelers from around the world. Number 12. The Cochise County War. Best known for the bloody incidents in Tombstone, Arizona, the Cochise County War was a heated conflict involving the Cowboys, a local gang, Sheriff John Behan, and the Earp family, supported by the legendary Doc Holliday. According to accounts from the time, the shootout at the OK Corral in 1881 lasted only 30 seconds, but became the most famous duel in Old West history. However, the fight didn't end there. Ambushes and retaliatory killings dragged on for months. Morgan Earp was shot in the back, and Wyatt Earp launched a relentless manhunt for those responsible. Witnesses described bullets whizzing through the streets, reinforcing Tombstone's reputation as one of the most dangerous and lawless towns in the Old West. Number 13. Billy the Kid and his vandalized grave. William H. Bonney, better known as Billy the Kid, was reportedly killed in 1881 by Sheriff Pat Garrett in Fort Sumner, New Mexico, according to historians like Robert M. Utley. Despite living only 21 years, Billy gained enormous notoriety, partly fueled by folklore that painted him as a charming outlaw. His grave became a pilgrimage site for the curious but has been vandalized multiple times. The tombstone was even stolen twice. Today it's secured with iron chains, yet some people still insist Billy the Kid escaped and that Garrett shot the wrong man. Do these rumors of survival add to his legend? Or do they hint at clues about his real story? Number 14. The Legend of the Lost Dutchman's Gold. In the Arizona desert stands the mysterious Superstition Mountains. Since the late 19th century, stories have circulated about a German immigrant, mistakenly called the Dutchman, who discovered a gold mine of unimaginable value there but never revealed its location. After his death, adventurers launched numerous expeditions to find the lost Dutchman's gold mine. Many locals believe the area is cursed. Dozens of explorers have disappeared or suffered suspicious accidents, while tales of strange lights and distant voices have added to the site's eerie reputation. Newspapers of the time documented cases of missing people, making this one of the most legendary treasure hunts in U.S. history. Even today, the allure of potential riches draws thrill-seekers willing to risk everything to uncover the secrets so many have failed to find. Number 15. The Gambling Frenzy. The saloons of the Old West were noisy, smoke-filled hubs packed with people ready to risk it all at the gaming tables. Among these gamblers, Canada Bill Jones stood out as a master of the three-card Monte scam, captivating even the sharpest players with his hypnotic charisma and earning a fearsome reputation. Famous for saying, "It's morally wrong to let a sucker keep his money if you know how to take it first." Canada Bill embodied the moral tension of frontier towns, where opportunities for wealth came hand in hand with corruption and violence. Alongside legendary figures like Doc Holliday, who was also a dentist though he rarely practiced, he fueled tales of luck and fate in a world where one hand of cards could change someone's fortune or destroy it entirely. Number 16. Scams in Ghost Towns. The famous ghost towns of the West came to be when mines dried up or railroad routes shifted, leaving entire communities without an economy. Even so, con artists saw an opportunity. Some claimed to have reopened gold or silver mines and offered exclusive shares to investors. To fool the unsuspecting, they showcased nuggets purchased elsewhere and even cited a renowned geologist who supposedly confirmed the wealth. Driven by the fear of missing out, many people invested their money, only to see the scammers disappear once payments were made. In regions with little oversight, these schemes almost always went unpunished. For some, the promise of quick riches was irresistible. For others, it turned into a nightmare, Number 17. Cherokee Bill. Crawford Goldsby, better known as Cherokee Bill, was born in 1876 to an African-American father and a Cherokee mother. According to accounts, he started his criminal career young, committing robberies and murders in Indian Territory, modern-day Oklahoma. In no time, he gained a reputation as a ruthless gunslinger, relentlessly pursued by federal authorities. When he was finally captured and convicted of murder, Cherokee Bill was hanged at the age of 20. His last words, as witnesses reported, were, "Hurry up with this hanging, I haven't got all day." Like many young outlaws of the West, he lived fast and died young, leaving behind a legacy that still sparks curiosity about the era that shaped him. Number 18. The mysterious ThunderBird of Arizona. In 1890, two hunters near Tombstone, Arizona, claimed to have shot down a massive winged creature resembling a thunderbird. According to the local newspaper, the Tombstone Epitaph, a supposed photograph showed the creature nailed to a barn, but the image has never been found, though some locals swore they saw it. Over time, the initial shock gave way to tales ranging from surviving dinosaurs to mythical beings. Many believe it was all sensationalism to sell newspapers, but the lack of evidence has only fueled fascination. To this day, the legend persists, sparking discussions among paranormal enthusiasts who wonder what happened to the missing photo. Number 19. Charley Parkhurst, the disguised stagecoach driver. Charlotte Charley Darkey Parkhurst spent most of her life disguised as a man to earn the respect needed for her work as a stagecoach driver in California. Legend has it that during one robbery, she kept the horses under control while staring down the barrels of guns, proving her bravery. Bold and skilled, Charley faced harsh weather and grueling journeys along dusty, dangerous roads. It wasn't until her death in 1879 that the truth came out. She was actually a woman, shocking the community. Another remarkable detail is that Charley is believed to have voted clandestinely in an election, decades before women were legally granted the right to vote, making her a quiet forerunner of the suffragist movement. Number 20. The Ice Storm and the Great Die-Up. During the winters of 1886 and 1887, the Great Plains were hit by devastating snowstorms that caught ranchers off guard. Known as the Great Die-Up, the disaster wiped out entire herds, with reports of ranchers losing all their cattle within days. Historians estimate that hundreds of thousands of animals died from cold and starvation, triggering an economic collapse in the region. The tragedy impacted not just ranchers' wallets but also transformed livestock management practices, effectively ending the era of cowboys driving herds across open pastures. Number 21. Marfa lights, the ghostly glow. Since the late 19th century, people near Marfa in southwest Texas have reported seeing mysterious lights dancing on the horizon at night. Researchers from the University of Texas have documented sightings, sparking numerous theories. Some attribute the lights to car headlights, despite reports predating automobiles, mirages or gases from the ground. Others prefer supernatural explanations, believing the lights are spirits or ghosts. Whatever the case, the Marfa lights remain unexplained, drawing tourists and thrill-seekers who camp out hoping to catch a glimpse. Visitors often describe chills and awe when watching the lights move across the desert. The local government even built an official viewing platform for spectators. On clear nights, when the lights are said to appear more frequently, this mysterious light show continues to fascinate. Number 22. The Chinese in the Old West. During the gold rush and railroad expansion, thousands of Chinese immigrants arrived in the U.S. in the 19th century seeking opportunity. Men like Li Wen worked up to 14 hours a day, sleeping in makeshift tents and facing constant risks of explosions and other hazards. Despite the grueling jobs, low pay, and severe discrimination, Chinese laborers were crucial in building the Transcontinental Railroad. They blasted tunnels through mountains and worked in perilous conditions that many others wouldn't. Records show that about 90% of workers on certain stretches of the railroad were Chinese, highlighting their essential role in national development. When work dried up, many moved to cities like San Francisco, Seattle, and Deadwood, starting laundries, restaurants, and small businesses that still influence local cultures today. Unfortunately, xenophobic laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 severely limited further immigration, and made life harder for those already in the U.S., leaving lasting scars of prejudice that echo into modern times. Number 23. Buffalo Bill's show in Europe. William Frederick Buffalo Bill Cody was a scout, buffalo hunter, and showman who turned America's fascination with the Wild West into a traveling spectacle called the Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show. Audiences held their breath as cowboys performed daring lasso tricks and wild horseback rides, while Native Americans like Sitting Bull reenacted battles with settlers. The performances earned both applause and controversy. The troupe toured not only the U.S. but also Europe, performing for kings, queens, and massive crowds. Records show that Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom was captivated by the horses and the supposed authenticity of the Native American raids, boosting the show's international fame. However, critics argued that the performances perpetuated harmful stereotypes and reduced the rich Native cultures to mere entertainment. Number 24. The Outlaw's Final Rest. In the Old West, it was common for outlaws to request to be buried with personal belongings like guns, playing cards, or whiskey bottles. People believed these items would accompany the deceased into the afterlife or at least preserve their reputation after death. Many thought touching these original items, like a worn revolver or a weathered deck of cards, connected them to the outlaw's spirit. Some cemeteries became tourist attractions because they housed the graves of legendary criminals, drawing visitors curious about these rare relics. Occasionally, treasure hunters would desecrate graves to retrieve valuable items, undeterred by legends of restless spirits. This mysticism turned many Old West cemeteries into haunted hotspots, deepening the mystery surrounding this wild era. The Old West truly earned its reputation as wild. Beyond cowboys and shootouts, it saw bold scams, larger-than-life characters, indigenous legends, and unbreakable women. Immigrants built railroads, while eerie tales gave even the bravest chills. Everything was shaped by struggles and opportunities. So what did you think of these 24 facts? Which one surprised you the most? Did you already know any of these stories? Drop a comment, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next videos. Let's keep exploring the mysteries of the world together.